Hey everybody, how are we doing? It is a gloomy Saturday evening here in Ohio, but that's okay. Hey Zucifer! If you see Arcanine anything lower than S tier. Oh, I love that Moneybags gif! Oh, that's awesome! Oh, I love that. Spyro will be played on this channel at some point, just so we all know. But don't worry. Arcanine still has some time to come. Today I'm gonna play a little more Braxton Burks. This is the Pokemon Reorchestrated Kanto Symphony. It'll be pretty quiet in the background. There it is. Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Did I spell that right? I didn't spell symphony right, that's for sure. Reorchestrated. Yeah, that's correct. Reorchestrated. Yeah, I can spell. So if you like any of this music and want to listen to it, this is what I'm listening to. But hey, we're back. I have not done a ranking stream in a while. I love this series. This is our 1,000 subscriber series that we started a while back. I'm realizing it's taking me longer than I had envisioned to get through this project. So, I mean, just sit back and enjoy the ride, kiddos. I love this. I love this. So we are just going to do a quick recap, and I have it on the Let Us Begin tab here because I want to prep you. I'll say once again, if you have not played any of the Pokemon games, there are spoilers ahead for all of those. But we'll do a little baby recap. We have our honorable mentions here. I did a whole episode going through each one of these. There could be a million more on this page, trust me. I've already thought about a couple Pokemon that I'm like, oh shoot, I kind of forgot about them. That would have definitely a case, but this is what I wrote originally. These are my little babies, my personal favorites that missed the cut. Let's see. Oh, you recently purchased a copy of Destiny Deoxys? Oh, that's sick. I love that. I never really watched it. I remember it was on TV once, and I watched a little bit of it. Rayquaza seems super creepy in it. Also, is this music too loud? I don't know. So these are my little babies. These were the last 4 out. Music's perfect. Love it. Thank you, Zucifer. So these are the last 4 out. Swampert is a kind of a bit of a controversial pick, leaving it out. Also, people did not like that I left Torterra out. But I'll explain Swampert and Torterra actually pretty soon. But little recap, at number 151 we have Wobbuffet. At number 150 we have Tauros. At 149 we have Corviknight. At 148 we have Sylveon. At 147 we have Munchlax. At 146 we have Nidoqueen. At 145 we have Regigigas. At 144 we have Toxtricity. At 143 we have Muck. At 142 we have Vileplume. At 141 we have Talonflame. And of course at 140 we have Samurott. Now, there was one little piece of media that I wanted to show regarding Samurott before we get started proper with our next 10 entries. Let me pause you real quick, Braxton. Because I talked about this Black 2 and White 2 trailer. Hopefully I don't get any sort of copyright anything for this. Warning if you have epilepsy. But this was the Black 2 and White 2 trailer I was talking about. I remember when this came out, this was so freaking cool that they did kind of an epic anime short for the new Pokemon games. Here we have N here at the Dragon Spiral Tower, looks like. Let me kind of skip ahead a little bit because we have this whole deal. Yes. So she's got her superior here. She's fighting Charon. So superior is featured, but where is it? Oh, here it is. Right here. This is the most replayed. Because here, if you're familiar with Generation 5, they're here on the Plasma Frigate. And we have Samurott here with Arcanine and, Stoutland. And this, one of the reasons I wanted to throw Oshawott on the list, look at this Ice Beam. Let's freaking go, man. Oh, so cool. I guess some other Pokemon are featured here, like Stoutland and Superior, but I wanted to just kind of show you what I was talking about, because this was just like an anime thing specifically for Black 2 and White 2. Yes, an entire anime based on the game. You are so right, Zucifer. But I wanted to show you all that because I thought that was cool. Let me go back here. Yes. So we're back here at Samurott. So now we can get to the rest of the list proper. We're going to get into Pokemon number 139. Get my music back. Let's see here. Also, thank you all for being here with me today. What's going on with me right now? I'm close to it being summertime. I work in a school, so I'm going to have a lot more time in the summertime, which I'm really excited about, and hopefully I can stream a little bit more, at least a little bit longer maybe, here in the summer. So that'll be really, really nice. Oh my gosh, where the Unova gym leaders took on Team Plasma. I am so with you. Those episodes were so cool. And don't worry, folks. There will be a Generation 5 playthrough at some point on this channel. Because we've already played through the first 4 gens. We'll get to Gen 5 eventually, here soon. Okay. So now, we are ready to start our next 10. At number 139, we have Infernape. Infernape is Pokemon number 139. I originally had Torterra on the list, but then after I thought about it, I thought Infernape should be the Sinnoh starter representative on the list proper, and you'll see why. Second best Sinnoh starter. What's your first best Sinnoh starter, Zucifer? Do you like Torterra? Torterra is my personal favorite, honestly. But I felt like I couldn't put it on the list, and you're an Empoleon fan. I also love Empoleon. We'll see if Empoleon's on the list. We'll see. Okay, so at number 139, we have Infernape. Infernape is 2 times a starter Pokemon in the original Gen 4 games, and of course, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which are infamous, but it does get to be a starter Pokemon twice, and by that, it is an ace of your rival, Berry, twice. If you choose, Torterra, of course, Turtwig, of course. Piplup for sure is on the list. Hey, what's up, Join? We'll have to see. Okay, so we have Infernape. We know it from the Gen 4 games. That's great. And I want to point out here for Infernape, one thing that I thought gave it a really big edge against Torterra is that Infernape is on Flint's Elite Four team in the Gen 4 games and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And Infernape is the first Pokemon the first starter Pokemon to be used by an Elite Four member, at least that I can think of. Let me kind of go back through my Rolodex of Elite Four knowledge. I'm pretty sure that's true. But I thought that was really relevant, and it's especially relevant in Diamond and Pearl because there are literally only 2 Fire-type Pokemon in the Sinnoh decks in those games, and Infernape is one of them. So they're like, we got to give Flint an Infernape. I thought that was a really unique point in its favor. Another reason why Infernape was a stronger pick than Torterra was it's a featured Pokemon of Ash Ketchum. Again, I've said ad nauseum, I know some about the anime post Indigo League, but not a lot. However, I do know that Infernape was a huge Pokemon of Ash Ketchum. As a matter of fact, give me 1 second, because this has been a big thing in the community that I have seen. This picture right here, if it'll show up correctly. Yes. Let me show this to you. This is a win percentage for Ash Ketchum's major Pokemon. And this was one of the things that I considered. Because if you look here, Ash's Infernape had an 83% win rate in the anime. And Ash's Torterra only a 44% win rate. I, again, am no anime expert, but I know Gudra is undefeated, 100%, the only one. Pikachu's sitting here at 61%. I mean, Pikachu's been in a lot of battles, so when you consider that, 61% ain't bad. And I cannot believe Ash's Lapras never won a battle. I love Lapras. And in my memory, Pidgeotto won at least one battle. I really feel like it did, but maybe not. I mean, Pidgeotto did a lot of cool stuff that wasn't battling, but this was a resource I used, so here that is. Anyway, and the last little point that I have for Infernape here is that it was a really cool alpha encounter in Pokemon Legends Arceus. We actually just encountered it in our playthrough. It is the static alpha Pokemon that's always there on Romanus Island there in the center, because you can find Chimchar there as well. I always found Infernape very memorable for that. Ooh, shiny Infernape. I know nothing about shiny Pokemon. The only shiny Pokemon that I have memorized are like Gyarados and Magikarp. I know some people have just like that Rolodex of what every shiny looks like. But let me do... What does shiny Infernape... Oh, yeah! I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying. Hold up. Hello? Hold on, will this show up, or do I kind of cut it off? No. Yeah, shiny Infernape is really cool. It's kind of like a more subtly pink thing. Yeah, you were talking about the pink. That's really awesome. But anyway, that is Pokemon number 139, Infernape. I think it has a really strong case, specifically its main 2 points being it's on Flint's team and it being a key Pokemon of Ash Ketchum. All right, so let's just truck right along. Coming in at number 138, the next Pokemon on this list is Diglett. Diglett, obviously, if you think about it, there are so many Pokemon just like Diglett that even though they're a first form Pokemon, even though they're not that strong, they have such a strong grip on the fandom when you really think about it. And they are so pervasive in so many of the Pokemon games. I think Diglett definitely deserves a spot on this list, and I will explain why. So, Diglett, it is in the original Pokemon TCG base set. Any Pokemon that is in the original base set, that's gonna have a leg up. I've usually linked all of these Pokemon, but if you look here, ooh, look at this just horrible CG art on this Diglett. It's perfect. I love how terrible it is. Diglett dig, Diglett dig, trio, trio, trio. Come on, right here. Where do I have that? I have that somewhere. Iconic anime episode. Oh my gosh, yes, I linked it. Oh, perfect. So, here, Diglett. Listen to this. Tell me you don't see a Diglett and you don't think this in your brain. Diglett dig, trio, trio, trio. That is rent-free in my brain for the rest of my entire life. I love Diglett for it, and this is literally a 10-hour video of this cry. That alone is so iconic. It has such a cultural relevance. I talk about cultural impact and memes right here. There's a big level of mystery. What is underneath the ground on Diglett? I think there's this really funny thing. I won't try to find it. There's this really funny thing of like you have Dugtrio above ground and underneath it's like 3 huge jack guys just hugging each other. It's really funny. Diglett is a huge meme Pokemon, not just for what I just described, but for that Diglett dig. And right here is actually a big point in its favor that I want to point out. Diglett has a signature location in Kanto, literally called Diglett's Cave. Also, there is Diglett's Tunnel in Alola. Diglett has 2 special locations all for itself in both Kanto and Alola. Super, super cool. How many Pokemon can say that? Not very many. And we also get the regional form of Diglett. I, for some reason, did not link that. Right here, we have Alolan Diglett. It is kind of infamous because it's just Diglett with 3 little pieces of hair on its head. But I will say, a lot of people have pointed out while Alolan Diglett and Alolan Dugtrio do look pretty stupid, they are based on something really cool. In Hawaii, there are like these metal fibers. I forget what they're called, but they kind of look like stringy blonde hair. And they can be found naturally. And it's like this Diglett and Dugtrio have collected those natural fibers and they appear like hair on them, which is really, really cool, which is why Diglett and Dugtrio are ground steel type in Alola. Really, really awesome. Might not look super cool, but there is a lot of cool lore behind that. Let's see. In Blue Rescue Team, he says, "Me feet feel like they're still walking on air." Very interesting. I have only played part of one of the Mystery Dungeon games. That is a game I should finish. Maybe I should get the deluxe version. What do we think of the deluxe version of Mystery Dungeon? Because I know that's on Switch. Oh, yes. And finally, something I wanted to mention, the little bonus that I have here for Diglett. Dugtrio's level for the battle with Lieutenant Surge. In the original Gen 1 games, you can go to Diglett's Cave, and it's right by Vermilion City. And, of course, Vermilion City's gym leader is Lieutenant Surge. And, he is famous for using Electric-type Pokemon. Diglett and Dugtrio are ground-type, super effective against electric Pokemon. And Dugtrio's level, you can get a level 31 Dugtrio in Diglett's Cave in the Gen 1 games. Way over the levels Lieutenant Surge would have. It knows Dig, which is 100 power in Generation 1. That is an iconic balancing oversight by the game developers, and one that is often exploited by players. I think that is a great feather in Diglett's cap. Oh my gosh, do it. Yeah, sure. I will definitely play the Mystery Dungeon games. There are a lot of Pokemon games that I want to experience. I've heard those are super cool. It's just hard to find time, kiddos, you know? Yes, it does make you wonder if they... And I mean, that is a thing in RPGs, right? You have this boss battle, and they give you a tool that you can use against that boss battle. You might not know exactly where to find it, but it is there, and they put it there specifically. Like, I think they specifically put those ground-type Pokemon there to help you with Lieutenant Surge, and I have turned off my music because I was playing the video. They give you those tools specifically to help you deal with Surge, but I think they overcompensated a little bit and made it a bit too strong. But I think Diglett deserves all the praise in the world. Love Diglett. I think it is very worthy of the 138 spot on our list. Okay. So here we go. We have number 137, Braviary. Now, if you have only played Legends Arceus with us, the Freedom Bird, that's right, baby! If you have only played Legends Arceus with us, this version of Braviary might not look super familiar to you. This is the original Unovan Braviary. Here we have the Hisuian version from Legends Arceus, which I think is so cool. I love kind of like the flaming, like psychic eyes. Oh, I love Hisuian Braviary. But here we have original Braviary, of course. That, honestly, it being in Legends Arceus is what pushed it onto the list for me. That regional form is incredible. It's also an iconic ride Pokemon. Ride Pokemon have become a lot more prevalent in the modern games as they have kind of phased out HMs. And Braviary is, being one of the Pokemon you can fly on, one of the more iconic ride Pokemon that they've ever created. It has this iconic design. You already said Zucifer. You called it the Freedom Bird. The Freedom Bird. This is very much kind of like the America eagle Pokemon. Unova's based on kind of like the New York City, New York area of the United States. So Braviary debuts in Generation 5 in Unova, and it kind of carries that aesthetic. Not only does it kind of look like kind of like that red, white, and blue America look, it also has a little bit of a Native American look, which is a cool nod to that. At least the people at Game Freak are doing their part to acknowledge that Native American people lived in America. But Braviary, iconic design for that reason. It is featured in Detective Pikachu. Not for very long, but in the beginning of the movie, you kind of get a montage of Pokemon living in the city in Detective Pikachu, and towards the end of that montage, you get Braviary flying to the top of a tower majestically. Any Pokemon being featured in Detective Pikachu is great. It's the only live-action Pokemon movie there is. You are so right, Zucifer. Although Braviary's great, it famously evolves at level 54, which is just crazy and horrible, and nobody likes that. A lot of the Pokemon in Gen 5 evolve really, really late. Braviary has a cool shiny. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I got the blue in there. Love that. And got the... Oh, yeah, and the Hisuian Braviary has some of the blue as well. It's a nice nod to kind of keep them consistent, huh? Very, very cool. So what else do I have here? Ah, yes. It is a Commander Komodo. Oh, I think I definitely spelled his name wrong. Is it... I think it's Komodo. I don't remember. How do you spell Commander Komodo's name? Oh yeah, Komodo. I spelled it super duper wrong. There you go. Anyway, used by Commander Komodo, who is a great character, as we know from our Arceus playthrough. Also a team member of Professor Kukui in the Sun and Moon games. A key Pokemon for him. I love Professor Kukui. Anybody who knows me in the context of loving Pokemon knows that I love the Sun and Moon games. And Professor Kukui being that last challenge that you get there, him having a Braviary there was a big feather in its cap. Love Braviary. I think its placement on the list is really predicated on its regional form and its iconic design. But the last thing that I didn't even mention, first thing on my list, is a static encounter. In Black and White 2, I think it's only in White 2, there is a static encounter with a Braviary after the 3rd gym. That's really, really cool. In White 2, I believe it's a Braviary. In Black 2, it is a Mandibuzz. And that is really, really awesome because, like we've mentioned, these Pokemon evolve so late in those games. It's great to be able to get them at like a more appropriate level, because I think you get it in like the 20s or something like that. So you're able to get that Braviary or that Mandibuzz earlier in the game, way before it could normally evolve. So that static encounter is actually super duper important for these Pokemon and does a lot for them in Generation 5. But love Braviary. I'm going to be really excited to revisit this list in several years, because there will obviously be more Pokemon present. There will be more Pokemon getting stuff in Legend ZA, I'm sure. If you know anything about Legend ZA, just say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I don't want to know. I've not looked at any leaks. Even me saying this runs the risk, and I probably shouldn't even say it. But please don't tell me anything if you know any leaks from Legend ZA. Because that will affect a future ranking. But, you know, I want to be surprised. I want to get there after we've gotten the game and I've played it. So, again, number 137, we have Braviary. Great Pokemon. Let's keep moving along. At number... Viridian Forest. Yes. Okay. At number 136 on our list of the 151 greatest Pokemon of all time, we have Chikorita, baby. I love Chikorita. All of the Gen 2 starters are peak to me. Thank you, Zucifer. Thank you. Chikorita is incredible. Chikorita has an absolutely adorably cute design. I love the gems on its neck. I love the little leaf. Even though it looks like a weird little pear, it's so cute. It's so freaking cute. The design is amazing. It is a featured Pokemon of Ash Ketchum. All throughout the Johto journeys, he's got that Chikorita, and it evolves into Bayleaf, which is super great. And you will find that she's getting her comeback in ZA. You're so right. That I do know, because that's been revealed. That's okay. You can talk about stuff that's been officially revealed. So yeah, like we say here, Pokemon of Ash Ketchum, it is a starter Pokemon times 3, because you get the original Gen 2 games, you get the Gen 4 remakes, and you also have Legend ZA for Chikorita. Yes, so this is the first example, Chikorita, that I have on the list of a Pokemon that kind of absorbs the resume of a couple of its family members. Now, some Pokemon of the same family are so distinct, they're going to be able to stand on their own on this list. But Chikorita is going to kind of absorb the resume of Bayleaf, the anime staple. It's going to absorb the resume of Meganium, who was a boss fight in New Pokemon Snap, for example. And Chikorita will be the representative for Bayleaf and Meganium. That is just how I chose to do the list. Some Pokemon of the same family are both or all three or whatever. They're all listed on the list, but Chikorita is going to be the representative for this family. Now, talked about its connection to Bayleaf and Meganium. Very strong there. Thank you, Zucifer, for saying it deserves. You are so right. That is a great mention. Chikorita is also a starter Pokemon, a starter reward in the Generation 3 games. If you're able to complete the Hoenn Pokedex, you can get a Generation 2 starter from Professor Birch. And you get to choose what those are, but obviously Chikorita is one of the options. Thank you for mentioning that. So it's kind of another starter Pokemon. You can't start with it at the beginning of the game, but, oh gosh, I've never completed the Hoenn Dex Lucifer. I've never even tried. To be honest, that's just so tough. But, again, Chikorita is kind of, again, another starter in Pokemon Coliseum. Because in Pokemon Coliseum, there is a scenario where you have the choice to fight 3 different grunts, and each one has a Shadow Johto starter. I believe it'll be Crokinole, Bayleaf, or Quilava. And that kind of makes the Chikorita line another de facto starter. So it is officially a starter 3 times and kind of unofficially a starter a couple times, which is super great. I love that. Pokemon Coliseum, that's getting played on the channel, kiddos. Probably once I get that Switch 2 way down the line, we'll play it on NSO. Anyway, which was great to see that announced. Talked about its iconic design. Come on, look at that thing. So super cute. And the Super Smash Bros. Pokeball for Chikorita. The iconic design, just the way that it flicks that Razor Leaf right out of its head, that is one of the most, maybe one of the most iconic attack movements of any Pokemon. That's kind of a niche thing, but you could certainly argue that the way Chikorita flings that Razor Leaf out of its head that's about as iconic as any attack movement of any Pokemon. But talking about its TCG representation, I just wanted to mention its beautiful common cards in Neo Genesis, where it was first revealed. Love Neo Genesis. Oh, I love this set so much. We have this art and probably my preferred art. Each Johto starter gets 2 cards in Neo Genesis, and this is my preferred artwork for Chikorita. Love the sunset there in the background. Oh, Feebas always eluded you. Yeah, I mean, Feebas was something that I never did, but that's why I definitely wanted to try doing it in our Emerald playthrough, and I'm really happy we did. It was so fun. Very tedious. Oh my gosh, I'm remembering us getting a melodic in that game. That was an adventure, that's for sure. So here, at number 136, we have Chikorita. Absolutely incredible Pokemon. I think more than deserving of a spot on the list. So, ooh, man. Battle versus Trainer here. This is excellent. Okay, let's move along. We have number 135. That Pokemon is Poliwrath. Dun, 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 dun. Yes. So at number 135, we have Poliwrath. It's actually quite interesting because this might be, it is an OG icon, but I feel like a lot of people might not think about Poliwrath for this list. But I think it is certainly deserving, especially when you consider that Poliwrath has its own holo in the original base set. I mean, look at this beauty. It's funny because I know that there are a lot of YouTubers out there that open their heavy base set first edition pack that cost them freaking $5,000, and they're just like, oh no, I got a Poliwrath, because they were looking for the Charizard. But this artwork is gorgeous. I love the original holofoil. Ever since Politoed dropped, you fear Poliwrath got put to the side. I mean, I know Politoed has like a great ability now and whatnot, but I think Poliwrath is the better design. Let's see. Oh, it's also got a holo in Neo Discovery, which is also super cool, like pretty intimidating. Love this holo here. But one of the big reasons I felt like Poliwrath deserved a nod was it is Gym Leader Chuck's ace twice. So it is an ace Pokemon of a Gym Leader twice in Gen 2 and Gen 4. But it also gets a feature on Bruno's team in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Which is kind of funny because it kind of disrupts a bit of synergy. Because in the original Gen 1 games, Bruno famously had Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Machamp. And Chuck, in Generation 2, had Primeape and Poliwrath, the other 2 fighting Pokemon from Generation 1 that Bruno didn't use. But Bruno does use Poliwrath in Let's Go, which I think is really interesting. So Poliwrath gets a feature on both a Gym Leader team and an Elite Four team. That, and the fact that it's got its own holo and base set. Having a base set holo, that scores a lot of points for me, because the TCG is just how so many people experienced these Pokemon. And those base set holo artworks are just so deeply iconic, it's insane. Even to people that don't play the video games that just collect Pokemon cards. But I wanted to mention this bonus. In the anime, Poliwrath is the reason Ash's Charizard actually starts to listen to him. Because in the Orange Islands arc, I remember there is a Poliwrath with the champion belt on because it won the fighting tournament. And it uses Ice Beam on Charizard, and it freezes Charizard, and it really, really hurts Ash's Charizard, and it takes many days to recover. And Ash stays up all night trying to warm up Charizard by the fire, and Charizard finally respects Ash. Ash earns Charizard's respect after that incident, and from that point forward, his Charizard actually listens to him, which it never did before then. Oh, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, tadpoles turn into toads or frogs, so I get why Politoed would be a favorite of people. For those of you that don't know, the Poliwrath line is based on like baby tadpoles that have kind of like the swirl on their belly in nature, because those are like their guts in there, and they form a swirl in real life. And when they designed Poliwag, Poliwhirl, Poliwrath, that was the big inspiration for that. And Poliwrath just kind of like made an adult baby tadpole, but Politoed actually gives it the eventual adult frog that it would become in nature. But I don't know. I really like Poliwrath. It's a water fighting type, which is pretty interesting as well. I think the only other water fighting type is Urshifu. No, Paldean Tauros as well. But I think it's just those two. And those are both extremely new. Poliwrath was the only one for a long time. But there you have it. Oh, Keldeo. Yeah, forgot about Keldeo. I don't like the Swords of Justice. I know a lot of people do. But there we go. Number 135. We have Poliwrath. Love Poliwrath. Okay. Now, we have number 134. Ampharos. I love Ampharos. I'll admit, this might be a little high. I had Ampharos higher on my list originally, and I knew in my heart of hearts that I had to bring them down just a little, but I think this will stand the test of time. I think Ampharos is an incredible Pokemon that deserves a spot on this list. Specifically, that quest in the Generation 2 and Generation 4 Johto games, where you have to heal the Ampharos of the Lighthouse in Olivine City. That, to me, might be one of the great quests in Pokemon. It's very simple, but it feels so great to travel across the sea to Cianwood, bring that medicine back to the Lighthouse, and heal the Lighthouse Pokemon, illuminate the coast once more, and have Jasmine return to her gym. I love that. I think that is such an iconic quest in Pokemon, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to put Ampharos on the list. Now, there's also a lot of other reasons to include Ampharos. It's got this iconic, unique design, because you would never think that a sheep would become this thing, because it goes Mareep, Flaffy, Ampharos, but I think it's really cool for that. It's really interesting. It turns into something like draconic in a way, and that is illustrated with its perhaps infamous Mega Evolution. Look at those beautiful locks, because when Ampharos Mega evolves, it becomes an electric and dragon type, and it kind of uses that oddly regal appearance from being like a shorn sheep, and gains the dragon type. Kind of gains those like thundercloud, hair, wispy, whatever. Getting a Mega Evolution obviously is a really big deal, but here, this one's kind of infamous because people kind of think it's a little bit stupid, but I disagree. I mean, Ampharos was one of my favorite Pokemon anyway, so I guess I'm a little biased there. But it has that iconic quest in Johto. Oh yeah, it's in its own L'Oreal advert. That's right, hey. It definitely could be. And it gets that Mega Evolution, which is huge. It's going to be featured in Pokemon Legends ZA. We have seen that in trailers, so that's another feather in its cap. It was also featured in Scarlet and Violet. Mareep is actually an early route encounter in those games. So Mareep and Ampharos specifically gets new life in the Generation 9 games. I feel like I have used a Mareep in a playthrough of Scarlet and Violet, and I feel like a lot of new players will have as well. It's kind of one of the big early route Pokemon in those games. To make it Dragon when it Mega Evolves, even more iconic. You know I agree. Already talked about it. Connected to the iconic Mareep. Mareep is such a cute little sheep Pokemon. If you don't know what Mareep looks like, this is our gorgeous, cute little fella. Oh, here it is in Scarlet and Violet right there. But it's connected to Mareep. That alone is a big deal. I want to point out it has holographic cards in 3 of the 4 Neo sets of the Wizards of the Coast era. That's crazy. It has so many holo cards. And these sets, for me, are absolutely peak. We have this one right here, probably my least favorite of the Ampharos cards. But a little fun fact. This card, I know, is actually really, really difficult to find in a PSA 10. I think specifically in the Unlimited version is really, really hard to find in a PSA 10. So if you have a PSA 10 of this Ampharos card from Neo Revelation, you might just have a gold mine on your hands. A scrungly looking Ampharos. Here we have Neo Destiny. This one's really, really, really cool. This is Dark Ampharos. Neo Destiny famously had dark Pokemon and light Pokemon, and having a Neo Destiny holo, huge deal. Neo Destiny is probably the most sought after of the Neo sets from back in the day. But this was the card that I owned. Just the gorgeous little gems shining. You have kind of like that basic, kind of like classic Sugimori art featured here with Ampharos. Really shows off its lighthouse capabilities. Those stars of Neogenesis are super iconic to me. I love this card. Oh, this whole ranking is just another, is kind of like a front for me to talk about my favorite cards in the TCG history. But love that for Ampharos. Talked about the iconic Mareep. And it is a lighthouse Pokemon. It represents a beacon of hope, does Ampharos. It is truly representative of something, which I love. Again, this is where there's wiggle room on this list, right? I have Ampharos here at number 134. A lot of you might have Ampharos completely off of your list, maybe an honorable mention, maybe not even. But that's the glory of it. Ampharos certainly has an argument to be on this list. And that's what I always talk about. Specifically in the lower levels, so many of these Pokemon have an argument, whether you completely agree or not. But here at 134, I have Ampharos. Love this Pokemon. Truly one of my favorites of all time. All right. Let's get into 133. Here we have Donphan. Donphan. Number 133, we have Donphan. Honestly, this Pokemon has been given a huge surge recently because it has a great presence early on when it was introduced, and now very recently, specifically in Generation 9, it has been given a huge bump. Donphan definitely deserves a spot on this list, and I'm going to tell you why. So, the first thing I want to mention, we talked about how another Gen 2 icon, you're so right. I kind of found that there were some Pokemon that I just kind of like as what am I looking for here? I coincidentally kind of grouped together. We talked about bridge Pokemon with Meryl, how it was featured in the anime before it was featured in Generation 2. Donphan has an iconic feature in Pokemon the first movie, because at the beginning of that movie, Ash fights this random cocky guy that comes up to him. He's like, "Hey, you want a battle, kid?" And he has a Donphan, and it is spinning around like a tire, and it is so freaking cool, and we have never seen that Pokemon before, and we're like, oh my gosh, what is that? We gotta know what that is. But it would not be introduced until a little bit later in the Gen 2 games. That introduction alone could put Donphan on the list. Love that feature in Pokemon the first movie. Yes, the way it does roll out in the anime is incredible. And I talk about the iconic design. This feeds into what I talked about with the first movie. It has an iconic design not just for the way it looks static, as you see right here, but for the way it moves around in the anime or in-game. That is what makes its design so iconic. Let's see. In Scarlet and Violet, we have a past Paradox form and a future Paradox form. Everybody that watches this video, comment, do you like Great Tusk or do you like Iron Treads? Here we have Great Tusk. It is a ground fighting type, and it is kind of like the caveman version of Donphan. And here we have the Pokemon Iron Treads, which is like the metal version of Donphan. Oh my gosh, thanks for being here, Zucifer. It's been a delight having you. Thank you so much. So we have the future version of Donphan and we have the past version of Donphan. Now, I am a Pokemon Violet player, so the boss fight that I had in Scarlet and Violet was against Iron Treads. Let me pull them both up again, actually. But if you play Scarlet, that would be against Great Tusk here in the Asado Desert. So I think of Iron Treads when I think of that boss battle. A lot of people don't like the weird LED face, but in-game it works so well. I've actually really grown to love the past Paradox forms. I think they're kind of underrated at this point. And for that reason, it is a mascot in Generation 9. 20 years after it was introduced, it became a mascot, really, of an entire generation for its past and future Paradox forms. Not only that, the regular Donphan form is a member of Elite Four Rika's team. Rika being one of my favorite Elite Four members. We could talk about her forever. She's wonderful. But Donphan is absolutely pervasive in Generation 9. Super, super great, super iconic. Funny enough, when it was introduced in Generation 2, it really wasn't that present. You could catch Phanpy early in Crystal, but you really had to wait for Donphan in... I think you could only catch it in Pokemon Silver. But we have this feature in Neo Destiny. We have Dark Donphan, really cool card. Kind of love the cartoonish artwork here. I think this might be one of Donphan's only holos in the original TCG. I think it might be its only holo in the original TCG. But Great Tusk and Iron Treads, they both got holos themselves. They're actually really cool, and they're featured in the desert here. If we look, right here. We have the Iron Treads EX, which is awesome, standing among the sand dunes. And then we have, not Tussle. Oh, they knew what I was saying. Thank you, TCG player. And here we have Great Tusk EX. Both super duper awesome. But let's exit out of those. There we go. And then, of course, it was an Ash Ketchum team member. I think it's got a 50% win percentage here. I believe he used Donphan in his Battle Frontier run. where he was able to defeat all the Frontier Brains. So that's another feather in Donphan's cap. All those put together, its iconic introduction originally, and its huge presence in Generation 9, really a mascot for the whole gen, makes Donphan a great Pokemon, and certainly worthy of the number 133 spot. Ooh. It's so funny. Doing these ranking streams, I do so much more talking. I really gotta make sure I'm drinking my water. All right. Let's pop back in here. At number 132, we have Flygon. I know Flygon is a favorite of many people who grew up playing Generation 3. And it is absolutely iconic in that generation. But I think Flygon is going to continue to have huge cultural relevance, which I mentioned here. We have its iconic design, of course. It's a ground dragon type. It evolves from Trapinch and Vibrava, so it's kind of like you kind of have like that larva stage Pokemon that looks nothing like it, but then it grows into this huge dragon. I talk about cultural relevance here. It is probably one of the most well-liked designs in the history of Pokemon. People love the goggles on its eyes, which protect it from the sandstorms, where it makes its home in the desert ruins in Generation 3, or at least Trapinch. It has no Mega Evolution and no Bug type. People really think Flygon could get the Bug type. It and Yan Mega, they really think could have been that first Bug Dragon. I think people really want that Bug Dragon type to exist, me included. And Flygon was a Pokemon that people really thought should have gotten a Mega Evolution in Generation 6, specifically because they remade the Generation 3 games in Generation 6, and some other Pokemon that maybe weren't as popular got those Mega Evolutions. Here, this is a little bit out of my depth. It's a featured Pokemon of Go. I know that that's a new character in the Pokemon anime. But specifically, we have 3 big features on 3 big trainers. It is on Elite Four Drake's team in the original Gen 3 and the Gen 6 remakes. Also, big member of Gym Leader Raihan's team in Sword and Shield. And it really is the perfect Pokemon to feed into his team's Sandstorm cohesion. Because Raihan runs a double battle with a Sandstorm team, which is pretty rare in Gym Leader battles. And Flygon's a big part of that. So I thought that was a really big feather in its cap. Also, this might be the first we've mentioned of this. I don't remember. But I think we have one other Pokemon that was a part of this. Anyway, in the Elite Four of the Blueberry Academy, which I have in quotes, Flygon is on Drayton's team. And Drayton is the grandson of Drayden from the Generation 5 games, which is super cool. So those 3 elite trainer features are a huge plus for Flygon, as well as its completely iconic design, maybe one of the most iconic designs among the fandom in all of Pokemon. I don't think that's a stretch to say. It is featured in New Pokemon Snap. Not a huge point for it, but I wanted to mention it. I love New Pokemon Snap. We will be playing that on the channel at some point. But when you look at Flygon, the story of it appearing on the list is certainly one of cultural relevance within the community. I think that is the biggest thing that Flygon has going for it. And I mean, why wouldn't it? Just look at this thing. It looks awesome. And again, do not tell me if this is happening, if you know the leaks, but maybe it gets a Mega in ZA. Who knows? We'll have to see. All right. So let's move along. We have time for a couple more. So, Pokemon number 131. We have... Ooh, what is this music? Ooh, Lavender Town. Awesome. Okay, here we go. Aggron! Pokemon number 131 is Aggron. I kind of grouped it and Flygon here together. I think Aggron deserves the spot above because it has some great features on champion level teams. That is the biggest feather in Aggron's cap, not to mention its incredible design. Look at that. So freaking cool. It's kind of like this samurai kaiju thing. It has the rock and steel type because Aron is eating the minerals in the dirt. So it takes on that steel type organically as well as its rock type. So its design is completely amazing. I think very well liked, again, within the fandom. Aggron and Flygon are very similar in that way, both Gen 3. Which I say here is a Gen 3 staple. But the biggest point that Aggron has going for it, much like Flygon, but I think to a greater extent, it is featured on Champion Steven's team. Now, we played Emerald on our channel, so we know Steven as the super boss of that game. But in the original Gen 3 games, Steven was the champion, and Aggron was a big Pokemon for him. Of course, we first meet Steven in Granite Cave, and that's where you can catch her on, so that's a really cool bit of synergy there. I love that. He's also on Steven's team in the remakes, and obviously as the super boss in Emerald. Not only that, Aggron is featured on Champion Iris's team in the Generation 5 games. Iris is a dragon-type specialist, but she has Aggron on her team, which I think is super sick, because you know me, you know I love those spiritual dragon-type Pokemon, like Aerodactyl on Lance's team, or Gyarados. Not actual dragons, but spiritually dragons. Charizard as well. And adding Aggron to that mix kind of makes sense. And while it does not gain the dragon type in its Mega Evolution, it does receive a Mega Evolution. Here we see it. Looks pretty sick. Kind of over-designed, but still super cool. Very, like, gaudy in kind of like a cool way. It becomes a pure Steel type, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Aggron got its own Mega Evolution in the Gen 3 game, so that was a super big deal. But biggest reason that we see Aggron here at number 131 is its features on Steven's and Iris's champion team. Getting a feature on a champion team is a big deal. That is kind of what put Avalugg in Last Four Out, if you recall. Really, because loved it getting its regional form in Arceus. I mean, we talked about that a lot in our playthrough. But the fact that it was featured on Champion Gita's team really kind of pushed it up. And Aggron has 2 champion features, which is really pretty unique, actually, and really, really awesome. So Aggron is number 131. Now, I mean, this might be the last one we get to today, but we have number 130. I don't remember what it is. I'm excited. Ah, yes. Here at number 130, we have Noivern. This is a Generation 6 Pokemon. There are certainly many reasons for it to deserve a spot on the list, but primarily it is a big featured Pokemon of Ash Ketchum. That is the biggest feather in Noivern's cap as far as I'm concerned. Because if you look here... Oh, Noivern might not be on this list. Oh, yeah, because I think Noivern is in... Oh, no, Noibat up here. So this must have been before Ash's Noibat evolved into Noivern. Because if I'm not mistaken, Noivern was a featured Pokemon of the Ash Ketchum team that actually became champion. The one that actually was the best. In fact, let me look up the Ash Ketchum champion team. Oh no, it was not a part of that team. Oh, I'm super wrong. Wow, how about that? Dragonite was the dragon Pokemon on a squad, and Dracovish. Anyway, Noivern is a cool Pokemon for Ash Ketchum. It has this iconic design, this awesome bat design. Featured a new Pokemon Snap, which I love. But again, it has two great features on Elite Four teams. It is featured on Elite Four Hassel's team, that's in Generation 9. It was also featured on Elite Four Drasna's team as her ace, because Noivern was actually introduced in Generation 6. Drasna is in the Kalos Elite Four, and it was her ace Pokemon, which we love. Now, Noivern is a Pokemon that I suspect will be getting some sort of feature in Pokemon Legends ZA, being that it is a key Pokemon from the Kalos region. Now, again, I have not seen the leaks. That is not something I know. So Noivern might have a little bit of projection here, being featured at number 130. But I think much like Flygon, it is a big community Pokemon. And if you look here, I love this alt art from Evolving Skies, because this is the Batman Noivern people have described, because he's like descending down upon Gotham City. This card is super duper sick, and one of the many great hits you can get in Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies specifically being a new classic set, really. It is just continuing to skyrocket in price, even though it is still relatively new in terms of TCG, and this Noivern card is not the reason, but it's one of the reasons. It's a great card. But if we look at those things, the iconic design, featured Ash, Elite Four squads, that is what I think gives Noivern a good argument to be here on the list at number 130. So let's do a little recap of what we have revealed today. Of course, we had Samurott at 140, and we have Infernape at 139. We have Diglett at 138, Braviary at 137, Chikorita at 136, Poliwrath at 135, Ampharos at 134, Donphan at 133, Flygon at 132, Aggron at 131, and Noivern at 130. Noivern really represents one of those more modern classics, I would say. I have warned you all as an audience when I did my prelude in the opening episode that a lot of the Pokemon on this list will skew older, because they just have they're just able to accrue a resume over a longer period of time. So it's so funny because Noivern's resume looks a little light compared to something like Nidoqueen, for example. But I do believe that if you add it all up together, while Nidoqueen might have more, I think you could argue that Noivern or other newer Pokemon can still sometimes supplant those OG classics with the mark that they've been able to make in a shorter amount of time. But with that, folks, I'm about at my time here. I think going 10 at a time is really working for me because I can really talk forever. And usually when I get to the end of 10, my voice starts to get hoarse, kind of how it's starting to get now. But I love these Pokemon so much. I love doing this list with you all. I cannot wait to get into the next 10. But, I mean, hey, at this rate, we have at least, 12 more episodes, 12, 13 more episodes. And I can't wait to get into it with you. But with that, thank you for joining me here on a Saturday evening. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, kids.